All right, so let's work now on refactoring the registration part of this. Right now, the register successfully creates new users, but it's still using the old mechanism of encoding the current user in the URL. Right. So if we create a new user here, and we go and try to register as that user, notice that it's still navigating to /user/ and the ID. Right. So let's fix that. So first of all, the navigation is wrong. Right. So let's fix the navigation. It should navigate to profile instead. So it says profile. Right. Notice that profile is kicking me out because there is no current logged in user. Right. The user that I just created should have been the newly created user and the newly logged in user. Right. It should have just let me go into the profile page somehow. Right. So let's fix first the navigation part. So the navigation part here in the register controller is that it wants to go not to the user and user ID. Now the profile view lives in the profile, right? Profile URL, right? So let's try that again. Let's go into the register page, and then now let's try creating a user. Notice that we register and it kicks me back to the login page because I created the user, right? Then I try to navigate to the profile, but the profile is checking to see if somebody's logged in. There's nobody logged in. It kicks me back to the login page, right? So we need to fix that part as well, right? So let's fix the register here, and so instead of this user service create user, again that's a very broad service, right? That create users. Actually, a very powerful and dangerous method, right? That perhaps maybe only a system administrator should be able to just create users willy-nilly, right? Instead, we're going to narrow the meaning here. Is that yes, we want to create the user, but within the context of registering, right? This is me. I'm creating me. I'm not creating just any old user. It's just me. So I'm going to change this to register. We're not going to remove create user. We're going to leave it there because when we're going to implement some system admin mechanisms, right? But create user is only going to be used by the system administrator, not just any user. So let's rewrite register, which is going to look very, very similar to create user. So let's see. Let's add here register. And it's going to be a post. So let's maybe let me copy this. And it's going to be the register function right here. And I'm going to go out to register. And register is going to pass me a user object that has username and password. Right? So it's being passed to me. So here's a user right there. User. And I'm just going to pass it as in the body. Make sense? Right. So now let's go on the server side. On the server side, let's listen in for that incoming register. So we're going to do function register. It takes request and response. And we're going to do the same thing we were doing earlier. We want to create the user, right? So that part of the logic is the same as before. Right? So we have the create user somewhere here. Yeah, user model, there it is, right? It's the same logic that we have here. We probably could just pass a create user as well. That could work too. So there it is. So we're going to create the user from the body. But after creating the user, and now we know who the currently logged in user is, we need to notify Passport that this should be the currently logged in user, added to the session, right? And you know a new cookie should be created, right? Added to the headers, right? And that should be sent out back to the client. So to do that, again, Passport provides functions that allow you to do this. So we're going to do request.login. And we're going to pass in the user object. And the login function doesn't work with promises. Right? Unfortunately, Passport doesn't support promises. Instead, it needs to be a callback. This is an asynchronous call, since it needs to update the session, it needs to create a cookie, it needs to do a couple things, right? And then send it, and then it's going to answer back saying, "Yep, I have successfully logged in." So here's a function that comes back with the status information, and here's when we can respond back to the server saying, "Yep, indeed, we were able to create the user, and this is the currently logged in user." That makes sense? All right, so let's restart the server, and let's refresh the client, and let's go do register. So let's register register, and notice that indeed it's letting me go to the profile page because it has been added, but the profile also went out to check to see the profile, because we were trying to navigate to the profile page. Notice that it went out to the server to see if indeed there was somebody checked, was logged in, and the server said, "Yep, there is a logged in user whose username is AA." That is being, and now it's being passed to the profile. Make sense? Right, for the registration part. All right, let's so now a couple things I would like to be able to do is that, depending on if there's somebody logged in, right? I like to be able to maybe go to the home page, and depending who's logged in, notice that we have a couple of things out there, and the login, the register, the profile. Those should show up depending on whether somebody's logged in or not, right? For instance, if I'm not logged in, why do I even show the profile link, right? I shouldn't be able to even go there if I'm not logged in. Or if I'm already logged in, why am I even showing login and register, right? So let's work on manipulating some of those links depending on the status of who's currently logged in. Right? So let's do that next.